and eradicating all forms of discrimination from football, the two teams will come together for a joint photo opportunity before kickoff. The LED boards displaying living diversity will also be shown throughout the match. In addition, a video message from the captains of the 8 participating teams will be shown inside the stadium, encouraging fans to unite against all forms of discrimination and to celebrate inclusion irrespective of ethnic origin, gender, sexual orientation, disability, religion, or any other reason. All right, now we'll get started with the press conference for England. We have Karen Bardsley and Coach Phil Neville. We'll have the first question right here.
Hi, Jane Diggle, BBC. Question for Phil Neville, please, first in English. Phil, can you give us an update on Steph Horton's condition and also Millie Bright's, and will both be available tomorrow?
Both major doubts. Steph, because of the tackle. We're hoping she takes part in some of the training today. That's the key for Steph. Millie has got a virus that's going a little bit through the camp, so she's probably more of a doubt than Steph. So we're going to give them right to last minute to be fit.
Can you just expand on what kind of virus and which other players are?
It's a simple virus, I think. Sickness, I suppose. So yeah, sickness. It's just a simple virus. She's picked up in the last couple of days, and she's in a room just recovering at this moment in time.
A question for Karen, please, as well. Karen, given the rule change and some of the decisions that I'm sure you've seen via VAR, have you adjusted your training in any way?
No. No, not really. I think we're all very much aware of what's happened in the previous games, and aware that we can't really move forward off the goal line. Have to keep one foot on. So we've not really changed anything. We're just kind of more aware of the rule. So we're just practicing like normal, really. Yeah.
All right, next question right in the middle. Black shirt right here.
Wait for the microphone. Helge Kalleklev from TV2 in Norway. Going to be asking the question in English, actually, for the both of you. You come from very different backgrounds, of course, but is it possible for you, Karen can start, to put into words how it feels to be part of what must be like a revolution of female football in England?
That's a nice way to put it, I think. I would certainly say it like a renaissance time for women's football in England. It's been an absolute pleasure to be a part of it from, obviously not the beginning, but to see it grow in a way that it has, where it's gone from, a time where we kind of struggled to get teams and competitions and full-time players, and to see it develop in the way that, we've got massive clubs on board. We're all full-time professionals, and the football that we play is really entertaining, and it's good football. So to see it kind of develop in that sense, the players are all much more physical, much more fit, tactically more astute, and technically much better. So it's been a massive pleasure to be a part of.
Yeah, I think when I took the job 18 months ago, I never envisaged probably where we were going to be today. And that's not England, that is probably women's football in general, the growth. It's exploded, really, and I think that the World Cup has come at the right time. The World Cup has helped in terms of the explosion. But I also think that you don't have an explosion without the quality on the field. The football comes first before commercial, media, sports science. The football comes first. The minute that you start seeing the quality on the field, the rest falls into place. And that's something that we've concentrated and are concentrating a lot on at the FA, is that let's get the football right and the rest will follow. And what we've done over the last 18 months is got the football right, and the foundations were strong before I came in. Make no bones about that. The players were in a fantastic shape. They were third in the world, and the foundations had been built by a lot of hard work for the previous 50, 20, 30 years. But I suppose over the last 18 months, the visibility, the financial input into the game has meant that there's more belief and confidence now that we can get to where we want to get to, and there's still a long way to go. We've not climbed Everest yet, but I think we're well up the mountain in terms of where we want to get to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I asked the photographers to kindly put your cameras away. Yeah. So down here. Thank you.
Thanks. Hi, Phil. Dan Kilpatrick, Evening Standard. Question in English.
You don't want an objective today, yeah?
Not today, no. Just wondering how Lucy is, because I know she missed training yesterday.
She's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, she's fine.
And obviously, if Millie and Steph don't make it, how big a blow would that be to be without both your leading centre-backs? But how much confidence do you have in Abby and Leah to come in?
Well, you guys have had an obsession with my rotation for the last 18 months. And what I would say is that the players that we've played, for instance, Leah Williamson playing against Japan in She Believes, Abby McManus played in the first 2 games in She Believes, Abby McManus' form over the last 18 months, it's for moments like this that we can just say, no problem, Steph, Millie, whatever. We just bring 2 people in that know the system, know the style, have got utter belief and confidence in each other, and it's a seamless transition. You plan for these moments. I said 6 months ago, we don't want to get to a quarter-final of the World Cup and throw a young kid in, or throw somebody that we haven't tested, we haven't tried, that doesn't know our system. So there's been a plan behind it, and it's for moments like this where I'm totally relaxed. When I got into management, I said from day one, only worry about those that can get on the bus, and those that can get on the bus are the fit ones. And unfortunately, in situations you're going to have injuries, and it's opportunities for others. And I put my life on Leah Williamson, Abby McManus, if they're called upon to be the best 2 players on the pitch. Thank you.
Phil, Steve Scott from ITV News. Just to go back to this virus, I mean, how serious is it? Are you taking any special precautions to keep the girls away from you? You don't want to wake up tomorrow with another half dozen not available to you?
No. Well, look, I think you guys are travelling round together, we're travelling round together. You're going to pick up bugs. You're going to pick up bugs along the way, and touch wood, we've been very lucky. Injuries and illnesses, we've had none, touch wood, apart from 1 or 2. So it's part of the course, you know. It happens in life. It's a virus. She more than likely is going to be fit, but at this moment in time, she's a doubt.
Okay, and just briefly, you were talking about progress and the increase in profile, thanks to your team. I wondered, you're obviously aware of the attention at home. Is that something that you use as motivation with the squad, or is it something you try and shield them from?
I think in the past you'd probably try and shield the players from it, you know, because fear of failure. But my girls don't have fear of failure. The bigger the occasion, the more attention. It's what they've grown up wanting. You know, we say all the time, 3-4 years ago when we were crying out to get to these levels of attention and visibility, when we get here, we're not going to back off. We're not going to say, oh, it's a bit nerve-wracking up here, the belly's twitching a little bit here. No, we're actually going to embrace it, and that's what my players have done. I know a lot of you have had a lot of interaction with my players in the media on days. What you see is what you get. You've got an unbelievable set of human beings that are now exactly where they want to be, where they've dreamed of, and they're not going to back off. And I think you'll see that tomorrow night on the pitch. The bigger the occasion over the last 18 months, the more pressure we've put on them, the more that they've relaxed and the more that they've played. It's Bosnia and Kazakhstan away that worry me more than the bigger games, because it's the bigger games that my players like.
Back there in the blue shirt.
Good morning. Rafael De Angeli from TV Globo, Brazil. Question in English. We started the World Cup with 24 teams, 9 female coaches. And we are here in the quarterfinals with 5 female coaches and 3 men. Your opinion about this scenario, this growth of female coaches in terms of teams and in terms of international squads also?
I think what you see with the development with the players is you see the development with the coaches as well. And I see that in my organisation, I see outstanding female coaches, outstanding, that probably have maybe not had the confidence and belief to push themselves forward enough. And that's what I say to the pathway coaches that I work with. And they ask me what's the difference, and I say the only difference is the belief and confidence maybe to push yourself forward and have the courage to put yourself out there. I think what you're seeing now, you're seeing outstanding female coaches and tactically astute that train their sides with a system and a philosophy and values like any other coach. And you know, I stand on the touchline now, and whether it's male or female next to me, I just see a coach, and I think that is the progress of what we've seen. And I think it's fantastic. I really do. And like I say, I don't think there is a difference because of the qualities that we're seeing in the WSL, in the English pathway system, and in this World Cup.
Right here in the front.
Hi, Phil. Question in English. Jessica Crichton, Sky Sports News. Weather is going to be very hot tomorrow. There's a health warning going around the country. Any provisions in place for your players to make sure that they are acclimatised sufficiently?
The provisions have been made. I always think it's an English mentality about worrying about the weather. You know, you go around and see your grandma, it's hot today, or it's cold today, or it's sticky out there. I actually like it being hot. I really do. My players like it being hot. We feel good in the heat. Yes, it's going to be a factor, but we've planned for it. We had 2 weeks at St George's Park where they virtually lived in a sauna, and that literally was the sauna. Not that there was no air conditioning at St George's Park. It was just we've planned for it. They've wore thermals. They're prepared for it. There's no surprises. We've planned and prepared every eventuality. We even planned probably what we saw the other day in the Cameroon game. So we've had no surprises so far, and we're fully aware it's going to be hot, and we're fully aware that the one thing that won't happen is that ball won't get tired if we keep passing it well.
I have the white shirt in the middle.
Christina Paulos from Norwegian VG. To Phil. You have 4 players in your squad from Chelsea, and Norway as well has both their centre-backs playing in Chelsea. Yeah. So the question is, 1, what do you think of the performances of the Norwegian centre-backs so far? And 2, how have you used the knowledge of your players knowing the Norwegian centre-backs?
Yeah, we've tapped into the knowledge of my players. I am a massive fan of the 2 centre-backs of Norway, particularly Maren, who I've watched a lot of this season. I think she's an outstanding 1v1 defender, composure on the ball, can play. I saw her play right back against Lyon a couple of times. PSG, she played in a back 3 towards the end. Like I say, an outstanding 1v1 defender, a big player for Norway. And Maria next to her is someone that probably hasn't had as many opportunities, but is an outstanding player as well with great composure. And our players have obviously told us about their qualities. Likewise, probably the 2 Norwegian girls will be telling their manager and players about the outstanding qualities of my Chelsea players and the players that they play about within the WSL. So I think when you get European teams playing against each other, there are no secrets. We play against each other in the leagues, in the Champions Leagues, and in international football very regularly. But I've got to say the 2 Norwegian centre-backs are impressive.
Back in the back row. Yep.
Bonjour, Bertrand Queneut de France Bleu, Radio France. Question pour éventuellement tous les deux, le coach ou même la.
A question for potentially both of you, either the coach or
est-ce que vous considérez, est-ce qu'on peut considérer que l'Angleterre, l'équipe, la sélection anglaise que vous dirigez, n'a jamais été aussi forte qu'aujourd'hui?
The fact that England have never been stronger in the women's game. Would you agree with that statement?
Sorry, that's the first time I've used one of these before. I believe the question was, do we believe that the England team has never been stronger than it is today? Absolutely. I think it's in a fantastic place, this England team. I think to touch on what Phil said earlier, we've never had more belief in this group than we do today. I think we are the most prepared team. I think we are the most resilient team. And I think that we know our strengths, you know, inside and out, on and off the pitch. So I think we've gained momentum and gathered momentum throughout the group stages. I think we've experienced several different tests throughout the group stages, and I'm very excited for tomorrow because I know that I don't think we've met our full potential yet, and I think, you know, we have a very good chance of doing that tomorrow. So I think we're in a fantastic place, and by far the best team I've been a part of in my career on the England stage.
And the gentleman in the yellow shirt. Yep.
Thank you. Ian Herbert from the Daily Mail. Question in English, Phil, for you, if I could. Talking about Ellen White a lot at this tournament and her, you know, a great group stage, a great tournament. What is it, apart from her work rate, technically that you see in her, and what does she bring technically, and does she compare? Does she remind you of any players from the male game that you've seen in your career?
I think the one massive advantage that both the centre forwards, to be fair, is that Ellen and Jodie didn't kick a ball till January, so they came to the January camp with us probably 4 or 5 months. Ellen had a back strain, and Jodie had a knee problem that needed a slight procedure on. So both my centre forwards are fresh, and I think that you can see that in the play. Both of them are incredibly fresh. Ellen has took a game to another level, I've got to say. If you talk about the player that I saw in the European Championships 2 years ago, played on the left wing, predominantly probably people thought hard worker, grafter, do a job for the team anywhere you put her, to now being, you know, you talk about the top centre forwards in the tournament. I don't see anyone better. I've not seen anyone better, I've got to say, in the tournament. And I think now what you're seeing a player playing at the absolute maximum of her potential and ability and confidence and belief. 4 goals with the left foot now, and that's a weaker foot. So I dread to think when she starts kicking with the right. Her work rate, her attitude is second to none. We have to hold her back. She is literally non-stop, and what we've tried to do is to say, make sure your energy is for when the big moment comes, when that ball drops in the box. And she's learnt the hard way. For 6 months she looked at me as if I'd got a horn in my head every time I say stop running, stop running, stop running, because you know what, she'd find herself at outside left, outside right, dropping in. Now I'm not going to name a player in the male game, but a top like characteristic. She's a Van Nistelrooy Shearer. She's that Owen, you know, that ultimate. She's turned from a sort of like hard-working, grafting player to the predator, and that's been the biggest change. Now that all she thinks about is goals. Yes, she's a team player, but she's got that ruthless streak now where actually it's about goals, and that's what I want my centre forwards to do. Jodie's had it all her career. She's a predator, and now Ellen's added that little bit of killer instinct to a game.
Right here in the striped shirt.
Hi, Rob Harris from Associated Press. Karen, obviously England being in the quarterfinals is a good thing for the whole team. There are now 7 European teams in the quarterfinals, which is a record. Why do you think that is? And is there a sense there might be a concern as well, the fact that the game is becoming Eurocentric, or do you think it's the investment paying off across the game in Europe? And
I think it's been crying out for, you know, exactly what's happened. To be fair, that going back, you know, years, it was dominated by a lot of North American teams and teams other than from Europe, bar 1 or 2. So I think it's clear to see that the investment, you know, obviously in the likes of England, Spain, obviously France, Germany have always had strong leagues, but the investment in the leagues has obviously paid off. They're attracting top talent, you know, much like ours is at the WSL, and that's only been beneficial for, I think, the domestic players in those countries. The competition for, you know, shirts has been better than it has ever been. There's been, again, more rotation than we've ever had in terms of domestic teams. So those have all I think, exposed the players to things that they've never been exposed to before, and kind of up the bar in terms of performance standards and such. So I think, to me, it's quite apparent that they've been incredibly beneficial, and the investment in those leagues and those players and those federations has absolutely paid off. And it's my opinion that they need to continue, because it's only going to up the bar again for the rest of the world. And for these competitions to continue to be successful, it has to come back to the product on the pitch. And as long as that product is exciting, fun to watch, and, you know, yeah, entertaining, I suppose, that we're always going to have the desire and the what would you say, the need for people for viewership, I suppose. So I think we're in a great place in terms of European football. I'm really proud of the nations that have made it. I'm incredibly proud of some friends on various teams, and you know, I do think that the Champions League has played a large role in our European success as well. So I'm very proud of Europe as a whole in this tournament.
It's right there in the pink shirt.
Hi, Rachel Brown-Finnis, BBC Radio. First question to you, Phil. You said you can prepare for most things, but a haircut of foreign barbers, how did it go?
Disaster.
Disaster.
Yeah. No, I need an interpreter with me, I think. It's called a 10-day haircut. In 10 days' time, it would be better.
Yeah. What, is it good 10, 12 days since that?
No, 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I have to take it for the next 10 days.
And it's Harvey's birthday today, I believe.
Yeah.
What would it mean to your family? Don't like to look too far ahead, but given the sporting pedigree there is in your family, for you to go all the way and potentially win this World Cup?
Yeah, well, he passed his driving test this morning, theory test this morning. So how he did that, I don't never know. No, but it's, I think being part of my family that like I've been, my sister in 3 weeks' time's got a World Cup to win. It's just the norm, you know. If I'm successful at this tournament, I'll get home and it'll just be business as usual. That's the way we are. You know, the messages that I've had from Tracy, even Gary, have been good. And Mum came out the other day with my wife and kids, and it's a different feeling for my wife because when you're a footballer, you know, you win, you lose, you're probably just going to be involved for the next 15 years. When as a manager, she's thinking, you know, the next game could be your last game. You know, that's how my wife works. She worries like mad. She's from an Irish family. She prays. She lights candles. She carries medals. You know, so she's probably struggling, you know, with the games at this moment in time, and maybe she's probably best just going to sleep for 90 minutes and waking up and making sure I'm okay. So she's finding it difficult, but it's just business as usual. You know, life goes on. It's a game of football. That's what we say to the players. You know, people talk about massive games, big games, pressure. It's a game of football that we've all played in the parks and on the streets and in the backyards, and that's how I want my players to play, and that's the way that I like to be myself. I don't get up and I don't get too much down, and I move on very quickly from success or disappointment. It gets on the players' nerves that a little bit, but life goes on.
Gentleman in the grey shirt in the middle.
Hi, Phil Medlicott from PA, question in English for Phil. You've spoken about the centre-back specifically, but more broadly, what do you make of the overall threat of Norway? I think Jill spoke yesterday about a combination of sort of physicality and technical ability. What do you make of their threat?
Yeah, system, physicality, and technically, I think they tick every box, I've got to say. They've probably been the surprise team of the tournament because probably people have been focusing on the top 10 teams in the world, and they don't fall into the top 10 teams in the world. But they've got a spirit, a togetherness, a tactical system that's really difficult to play against, and they look like they've got a cause. You know, they've got a cause with, you know, maybe Edinburgh not coming has give them a cause to say, you know, we're going to show the world that we can win without the best player in the world type thing. So that's always a good thing to have, that siege mentality. And they look like they're having fun. They're smiling. So I think it's a really, really difficult game. I really do. I think if you was picking a quarter-final opponent, this was the one that I think would be probably the most difficult, because if they are a dangerous team, they're a counter-attack team with lots and lots of quality on the counter-attack, speed on the counter-attack. And I think Karen said it before, we're going to probably have to jump up 10-15% in our performance levels to be successful in this game and this tournament.
One last question right here.
Thank you. In English, please, Gary, BBC website. 'Cause I know you've been asked already about 3 specific players. Can I just double check if there are any other doubts in the squad? Okay. And I wondered, I know before the start of the tournament, bookmakers and others were focusing on France and the USA as favourites. But when you see France taken to extra time the other night, and then the USA needing penalties to get past Spain, Phil, how wide open do you think these quarterfinals are?
Anyone can win it. You see the way Spain played against USA, even Japan last night. People probably didn't give us enough credit for our performance against Japan after what I saw last night, and the way that Australia-Norway game. I've got to say that this World Cup, the football games have been incredible. The level of performances from every team. We've watched it in our meal room, the 6 o'clock, the 9 o'clock games, and literally we're all cheering. We're cheering because I think we're all fighting for the same thing. We're all fighting for, actually, this is bloody good. You know, the Japan performance last night, and then the resilience of the Dutch. I just think it's been unbelievable. I've not seen a bad game. I've not seen a bad game in this tournament so far, and I think I've watched probably 38 to 40 games, and what I've seen is utter quality, and the people that I'm speaking to back home are not only just praising England, they're saying, this is a fantastic World Cup where we're enjoying the football, the style, the commitment, and that last night had everything. That game last night, you saw a Japanese team that played technically as good as any team I've seen in this competition, and then you saw the Dutch that had the mentality to win late on, and it's unbelievable to be a part of.
Thank you very much, and good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you.